Okay, welcome back, everyone. As we've been for the last couple sessions, our game is not in the middle world of Glorabantha today, but in the Gods' world. Storm Age Pamaltella, the invasion of the Horde of Decero hero quest. We are on what is now stage 4 of the quest. The last time Finchin was here, we completed stage 2. I'm going to post the current write-up of the hero quest in chat. It's getting a little expansive, so take your time and go through it.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate a recap since I wasn't here.
Yeah, we had one kind of half session, and that was stage 3, and then stage 4 was full.
Who can catch me up then? That'd be super sweet.
Okay, so for that half session, as I said, mostly I took the red sword and I gave it to Gabaryanga's equivalent, Chikaru, in the quest, and I had a big crit when I gave it to him, so I got a bunch of lore about the sword and read it all out to him. And then Yamalio spotted that there was another enemy that we hadn't found yet, a yellow Videli.
This is the force in the hero quest that sent the spirit you and Slan fought at the end of stage 2, Afadasa.
Yep, and I decided to investigate him, and I determined that he is the dark side of one of the members of the party, and I'm actually guessing it's Philomena's dark side, but then, for the full quest, we decided to pack up and leave and go to the Videli city and raid the fuck out of it. So, yeah, I left a spirit behind, we left our companions behind, we summoned a boat, and we summoned the god of the sea, and we negotiated passage to Oabil, the place on the northwest of the continent. And then we took a bunch of warriors there, and we killed a bunch of Videli for the crimes of bothering us with spirits. And then we decapitated the king of Oabil, and I've got his
We
head
didn't
in a bag
decapitate
now.
him. He got decapitated
Yeah.
by his
By
vizier
his
or
people
something.
for allowing us to beat the shit out of them. And then I got his head, and it's in a sack now, and we're sailing back.
Yeah.
He can still talk, but he's it's not really him, it's an echo of him. That's how the Videli would put it. But it'll go away within time, well, with progression of the myth. But you can get it to talk, and it has surrendered. It is a compliant enemy head in a sack for as long as it continues to.
And it's in a sack because it can still talk.
Yeah, and see and hear all the other things. It's intact, other than being severed. It seems to be fine without being attached to lungs or what have you.
Also, I accidentally established that gunpowder existed in the God's Age.
Yeah, there's been a couple anachronisms, but that's par for the course.
Yeah, because we blew up a mansion.
I was gonna say, isn't that always gonna be a thing? Is that our presence will adjust the myth?
And Slon found some ancient knowledge that the Videli had stolen from the dwarves, that they can now return to the dwarves, and that resulted in Talak getting a cool new rune spell.
So, since we have a different composition of players in the myth today, what I want to do is play around with the achronicity of the god time. We know what happened in stage 4, more or less. Let's rewind back to stage 3, which began with the return from the raid on the storm camp and Queen Cerulia presenting the sword to Jarkaru. In our version of the myth, what happened is that Cerulia received the sword from a Selene sent by her mother / other self, the Blue Moon, which crept into Desero's camp while you raided the camps of his chieftains. Cerulia took the sword from the Selene and presented it to Jarkaru with, as Potov described, a grand oratorical enunciation of the sword's lineage, going back to the original red sword wielded by Shargash/Tolat, the god of the red planet, and your companion Safara's divine husband. She is currently dancing the dance of entreaty to summon Shargash to this place, fueled by the blood of the Storm Horde chieftains shed in the raid. That's happening in the background as Cerulia presents the sword. So Afidasa, you are a Artmali immortal. You saw Artmal hand off, gift the first Artmali Emperor Yitai this sword in a myth called the Rout of the Slarges, which was a conflict with a race of weird reptilian people who live in Pamaltella. It's a whole thing. Is there anything Afidasa would have tried to do during the ceremonial handoff of the Sword of the Emperors to Jarkaru, the act that elevates him to Emperor of the Ardmali?
Is there some sort of blessing I could have performed?
Yes, with a worship role, perhaps.
Then I think I'll do exactly that.
You have worship Ernalda, but there's some mythic blurring of lines going on here. Afidasa is the connection between the Artmali and the earth spirits of Pamaltella, the go-between, because the Artmali are, even though they've been here a long time, to the extent that that exists within the god time, the earth spirits have never been fully at home with them. Part of Afidasa's role is to allow the Artmali to communicate with the earth spirits despite that inherent foreignness. So when you worship Ernalda, it's you establishing your rapport with the earth goddesses on behalf of the people from the moon, if you get that.
Yeah. So you mean it's still a worship? It's just it fulfills a slightly different effort.
Yeah. Uh, your position in the exchange is different, I guess. You're more like a petitioner to Ernalda in this context.
Maybe a conduit of sorts.
Yeah.
But the rule will basically still function the same way, right?
Yeah. It's just an idea of, how to flavor what you're going to do and how it affects the myth. So, what sort of blessing do you want to try to apply in the handoff of the sword?
Let me think. It should be ideally, something that helps us going forward, something that improves the standing. Do you have since sorry, I'm still getting back into this. Do you have some suggestions? What would be thematically appropriate?
Loyalty to Gabaryanga.
Oh, for augment? No, that was clear. No, I mean specifically what the blessing is about. What am I blessing, and for what?
Well, mythically speaking, the handoff of the sword is a succession act, right? Each Artmali emperor carries the sword, and carrying the sword is part of what makes them Artmali emperors at all. Jarkaru was just a senior prince before. When he takes the sword, the ancestors of the Artmali appear surrounding the camp and join in the song that blesses him as the new emperor. And his appearance is briefly overlaid by each of the previous emperors before they all resolve into him. He is the same, but changed, expanded. So, mythically, the kind of blessings you'd want from the power that helps the Artmali interface with land would be to would be to thinking about it runically, the handoff of the sword is a man rune, harmony rune act within the myth. What uh, what runes would you want? Well, what runes would be the basis of your blessing?
I would say, like you said, harmony is a very good idea, since it's
Yeah.
it's a personal
What
thing.
what other rune would you add to harmony to flavor it?
And for someone who needs the strength to lead, and to succeed in the line. I mean, man would probably make sense, but maybe something like truth, to be honest, actually. Something about the values represented by the leadership. That's at least the vibe that I'm kind of feeling.
Okay. Harmony, truth. How high is your truth rune?
53?
All right. Roll your truth rune and give it an augment. An augment could be a skill, one of your magic skills, or one of your performance skills, or one of your passions.
Would, as Cerulia here suggested, would it make sense to do a loyalty to Garbayanga, since I am quite devoted to him, and this is his cause. He's representing this. I'm very emotionally embroiled with that.
Absolutely.
Then I'll do that. So let's do the augment first.
Oh, good success on the augment. Plus 20 to your truth rune. All right. Truth rune.
Do you want me to roll the harmony as well?
No, just the truth. A normal success. Okay. Briefly, what does the blessing help the emperor stay true to?
His passion, his care for his people, and especially even in the face of adversity and, how to say, not exactly criticism but doubt, basically. When others feel like, no, this is not the direction we should take. I want to give him the blessing to encourage him to stay true to the things that were so important to him, since Philomena as a person also looks at it as being Gabayanga's story, and how he often was, challenged and rejected on his beliefs and his belief in his people and their future. So he should stay true to that passion and that belief in the future.
Okay. Then I would say that your blessing enchants his loyalty, passion, Art Mali people. Does that make sense?
I would say so, absolutely. That he doesn't give up on them and his efforts for them.
Yes. What that does is once per session within the hero quest, Jarkaru / Gabaryanga can now, rather than rolling on his loyalty Art Mali people, he can spend an escalating number of MP to simply force an outcome.
That's very interesting. I'll have to keep that in mind.
It's something he can only do once per session, though.
Yeah, of course. But when there's something very important going on, I can make things go out in our favor. That's always good to know.
Okay, so let me add that to the write-up of the hero quest. Afidasa blesses the Emperor's loyalty to the Artmalik people. Of course, so we re-experience that element of the myth. The stage 3 of the Descero's Horde hero quest is expanded slightly, retroactively. Let's continue to a question regarding the sack of Oabil. In stage 4, Afidasa, a group of the gods and heroes, Cerulia, Slan, Halmalayo, Yelmalayo, and most of the Mastali, and Pujaleg, and all of the Bat people, went off to sack Oabil, the city of the Videli. That's how they got the wizard treasures and the beheaded king. They, some of the demigods and heroes stayed behind. Jarkaru, Jarkaru, Galata, the last Zaranastangi, the lone Zaranastangi, who's Ravina's hero quest form, Safara, and Dian Shu is back there as well, keeping watch on the Tolat dance, and mostly staying unobtrusive and everything. Did Afidasa stay at the camp and defend the wall, or go off to attack the interfering Videli? Sure. While she's doing that, and time is in flux, does anyone have some way they would like to embroider stage 3 of the quest?
Not stage 3.
What does embroidering the stage mean exactly, though?
We would go back to that stage of the quest, and you would attempt to add some mythic event that your character initiated or participated in. Like going back to play out Afidasa's contribution to the... what stage would you want to go back to, Cerulia?
4, because I mostly just want to see, now that I have the head, I want to see if my theory is correct and figure out if it's filling me.
You want to use your illumination to double check if you've got
Pretty much, yeah. I want to shove a bloody head at her and just be like, hey, is this you?
I think that can be the first thing in stage 5. Well, depending on whether Afidasa went to the raid or not. If she went on the raid, then yes, that would happen at the end of stage 4. But Galata, Ravina's form, was out on the plains before the wall, haranguing the Zaranastangi who were part of the Storm Horde, and they were haranguing her back.
I think we'll be able to use the greeting in like stage 5. But...
Exactly. You'll be face to face with the Zaranastangi for the first time in stage 5.
Fair enough. Then about the swords.
All right, I'm back. I'm very sorry about that, but I'm back.
When the red sword has had offspring, do they ever have, like, is it just the blade, or is it also the pommel, the guard?
It's the whole shebang, yeah.
The whole shebang.
Whether there's a sheath or not, I don't think so. No. Shargash seems like a just sort of stick the sword through your belt or sash sort of guy. Or maybe he just carries it. No. There could be magical sheaths made for them though.
I'm back,
Yeah,
by the
that's the
way.
sort of thing.
I'm
Welcome back.
great.
Sorry about that.
That's the sort of thing
It's
I
okay.
was
Continue.
more curious about, if a pommel or a guard or a sheath or a belt could be made for it, and that would be Halamalao's contribution to the short ceremony of handing it off. Well, relatively short. I assume that the lineage retelling took a while.
Yeah, the sword itself is complete, and quite magnificent. But any equipment to make it safer or easier to handle or carry, would be welcome. And it would add to Halmalayo's thing of giving clothes to other gods to placate them that you established with Magasta.
Hmm. Though in this case, it would be more like a gift given to somebody that is becoming more like a god. I don't know
Yeah,
what Jarkaru's. Yeah.
yeah, a hero becoming a demigod, essentially. Yeah,
Sure.
giving a gift to a hero on their ascension to godhood
Hmm.
or immortality, at least.
Especially one that has admitted like we are a peaceful people, etc. So yeah, I would like Halamalao to maybe provide either a sheath or just a clip-on belt for to be able to hang the sword from.
All right, and well, that'll be a craft roll. You can augment it with uh, any other reasonable skill, rune, or passion.
Mm, Harmony?
This harmony would have very specific connotations in this context. Sure.
Well, it's something being given to somebody that is not uh, knowledgeable in battle or experienced in battle. And the idea would be that they would not harm themselves due to their inexperience in handling the weapon. Would that work?
Sure.
All right. Augmenting with harmony. And
Plus
then
20.
my craft wood shaping, or would clothing making be more applicable?
Could be either. This is the god time.
Fair enough. Let's go with wood shaping plus 20. That would be 111.
Oh, and it's a 69. All right, and it was harmony. So this is a Eularia Eureka. So what is the object again in shape?
Since I'm using wood shaping, I'm assuming that I'm going to be making a sort of sheath that will have the ability to be clipped onto the clothing or belts that Jarkaru already wears, if any.
Maybe it has fronds that intertwine with the weave of whatever clothing the person is already wearing.
Mm. And it would probably be pure white because of Halamalao's origins.
Oh, so it's like living wood from one of the white trees on the summit of the spike.
Mm-hmm. And also
Oh,
because Halamalao is an aspect of the sun, it should probably be closer to appearance for something that's closer to the tip of the spire.
what two runes naturally appear in the wood of the sheath?
Well, I would assume fire and earth, fire, sky, and earth
Choose only two.
are aren't
Fire
there
Sky
two?
is
I
one
thought.
rune, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. Okay. Fire, earth. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Fire, earth. That. All right. I'll add that to the write-up of the myth. Uh, Halmalayo provides a white wood sheath for the red sword.
Hmm. Do you want me to write that down myself, or?
I've written it in the text document I'm keeping track of the hero quest in.
Okie doke.
So, back to stage 4. Afidasa, you had a choice. Did you stay to defend the wall or go off on the raid against Oabil, the kingdom of the sorcerers?
Vincent?
Sorry, I didn't quite hear that. Entirely on me.
Finchen,
Yes, I'm listening.
in stage, you had a choice.
I
In
need
stage
to
4 of,
to go
yeah,
attack or defend.
exactly.
Who is staying behind to defend other than me?
Jarkaru, uh,
Gotcha.
Ganalada, Safara, and Dianshu.
Last time I stayed behind to fortify things. Maybe this time I should go and help directly with the attack.
I would
Okay.
argue that you'd be compelled to go to fight your other, but I haven't proven that yet, so.
I just think, they might need my support,
All right. Well, this is how the raid on Oabil went in the hero quest. In stage 4, Cerulia and Pujaleg worked together to summon the Cerulean bat, a big blue kaiju bat, out of the west of the Sky Dome. And the gods worked together to bargain with Magasta, the god of the sea, who was portrayed by Jun To from Gabel's crew, to speed Slan's stone ship along the coast of Pamaltella to let you attack Oabil from the sea without issue from the seas and the merfolk that live in them. The raid was successful, but nobody got a special or better. Everybody succeeded and nobody failed, but they were unable to breach the central citadel of the Videli, who were able to remain in contact with their kin elsewhere, and so were sure to eventually drive the raid out of the city. The gods and heroes were able to pillage many of the mansions of the Videli immortals, though, gaining magical items, proof that the Videli had been conspiring to set the Artmali and the Storm People against each other. And Slan established the existence of gunpowder in the god time. Yalmalio mostly protected the attack from the defenses of the Videli. How did Afidasa contribute to all this?
I mean, her strength is, being magic and healing and supportive, right? So I'd say
Yes.
I'm sure there was need for that, unfortunately, considering the fight.
So your suggestion is that Afidasa spent the time recovering from any wounds or attacks that
No, she
Surma
helped
could encounter?
others. She helped others,
Yalmalio could?
heal and retain their strength.
All right. Choose a skill or rune to roll.
Does fertility represent health, like physical well-being?
Yes.
You can.
Then
Fertility and harmony are the runes associated with healing spells.
I'd say fertility in particular in this case, since it's about the strength of the body.
Okay. You can augment that with a skill or passion. You can't use your loyalty Gabaryanga because he's back at the camp.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can Afidasa also use rune spells like Halamalao did before
Yes,
they?
that is a great suggestion. If you want
There you
to cast a spell as your contribution to the fight, that would be good as well.
I do have the heal body rune spell.
Do you have enough points to use it?
I would think so, but I don't know. I was more thinking about it as a bit more of a. I mean, singing is a bit typical for me, but it would make sense to me as as a rousing kind of action. Since it's about body and spirit, maybe sing would be a good augment.
That was heal body specifically.
It was the rune spell, yes. But I could, like I said, also imagine singing making sense.
Singing to augment the rune.
Yes.
Singing would be a moral thing.
Yes.
And would have to be done with a skill. Heal body could be done with either fertility or harmony. It costs 3 rune points. How many points do you have in your Ernalda pool right now?
Let me check. I hope I kept track of that correctly. I think it's full right now. It's 8, I think.
Alright.
You've sacrificed 8 POW to Ernalda? Or 4 POW?
Is that something you do on a per session basis, or was that in the last worship time?
If you've been succeeding at POW rolls and then sacrificing them immediately afterwards.
No, I've not done that recently. I think I've done it once. And maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. Then it's 4, yeah. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing then.
A full pool of 4 then. I don't think you've cast anything in
Eight's your original MP, right? Because you started with 8 POW.
Yeah,
but
I was just reading that
every time
wrong.
you increase your POW, so it should be whatever your POW is right now is your total MP right now.
Yeah, I've just read that wrong. That's my bad.
Alright.
I'm not great with all the numbers.
Yeah. Just make sure you keep. You can use the tally in the cults section on the first page of the character sheet. It's form fillable. Yeah, it would cost 3 of your 4 points, but you could cast heal body.
I would do that. I will do that.
All right. Then you can use earth, fertility, or harmony for that, and you can augment it, as I said, with a passion or a skill.
I think I'll definitely use fertility.
Okay.
All right. And what will you augment with?
I thought I'm augmenting with the spell.
No, fertility is the
The
cast.
spell is its own roll.
Oh, okay.
The spell is the roll.
Okay.
You'd augment whenever you roll the spell. Well, roll for the spell.
Yeah, I thought I'm doing that with fertility. I guess I'm getting confused.
Yep. No, you will. So what are you going to augment the fertility roll with?
Can I use that sing for that?
Yes, sing can be used for most magical stuff.
Good. Bleh.
Well, roll your fertility then.
Come on.
All right. It's a rune spell, so and it wasn't a fumble, so the rune points aren't spent, and you can try again. You could also try a different augment, but you can't try the same skill in the same scene.
I'll try harmony then.
It's a god. It's the god time. I'll let you augment a rune with a rune. So try harmony. All right, you have harmony for this for the day.
Good. Plus 20.
Mm-hmm.
A special.
And you got a special.
Ooh.
Which doesn't lower the cost of the thing. You still spend 3 of your 4 rune points, so make sure you note that down. You have 1 of 4 remaining.
Yep.
And let's look at the text of Heal Body. This is more of a narrative use than a specific casting, though. It represents you using your magical power to heal people throughout the fighting. So, this spell cures total damage on the body, regardless of hit location or source. It heals all damage from total hit points and hit location hit points. Any severed limbs reattach if available, or regenerate if not. All right, that's pretty great. Narratively, Roll D3 in the chat, Afidasa.
Okay. Which command do I use for that?
Exclamation point roll. And
Okay.
1d3, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
One.
Okay. Spend 1 MP from yourself for one of your MP storage things.
Okay.
You spend the raid on guard for healing people, but because Yelmalio is such a everyone is pretty on point in all this, and the Videli are pretty thoroughly overwhelmed by the sudden onset of the Cerulean bat. So your role is more of darting in to save the few but very sudden and serious casualties from the crits, basically, of the Videli. So your healing spell completely recovers someone who would have definitely died otherwise. The people involved in this were Pujaleg's bat people, immortal Mernitons from Cerulia's city in the far north, Slan's dwarves, and all of the player characters. Who did Afidasa save in the myth?
You get to choose.
I wasn't involved in the fist fighting.
Palamala was sneaking around.
I mean, we could say a Merniton, but I want to give everybody else some chance.
It could be your Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah, it retroactively creates whatever event the event in the myth is about. So this would rewrite the story of participation in the raid of each of these characters, whoever gets the healing. It says that at some point in the myth, you suffered a grievous injury dealt by the Videli, and Afidasa healed you. If someone wants to volunteer for that, well, bear in mind that she does heal you completely, all hit points and any severed limbs or anything like that. So you can go as crazy as you like with it. But if no one volunteers, or you have a more interesting idea, Finchin, I'm happy to hear it.
I mean, I'd suggest it might have been Yalmalia, but Jenner isn't here to agree to that.
It makes the most sense to me, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Yalmalia was out there specifically with the shield to protect others.
I don't think she'll complain.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I'm doing a nice
seems
thing
like
here.
the kind of thing in the myth that.
Also, Yalmalia is typing, it says in the chat right now.
All right, then I'll add to the myth that Afidasa healed Yelmalio from a grievous injury in the raid, and if Jenner put it in brackets or something, and if Jenner wants it in, it stays in, and if not, it dissolves into the ether. Does that sound good?
Sure.
I like that. Works for me.
And since it may dissolve into the ether, take one of those rune points back, Afidasa. You only have to spend 2.
Got it.
It was also a special. You might as well get a discount. All right. Let me make the adjustment to the notepad. All right. Modification saved. I'll post. I'm not updating the thing I posted in the thread. I'm updating a notepad file, but I'll post the final version of the quest once we end the session.
Okay.
So, that event is retroactively added to stage 4, and honestly, it's pretty thematically appropriate that Ilmalio suffers a terrible wound and has to be saved by somebody else before this is over. It's very him.
It's very both of them.
Yeah, it really is. So, does anyone have anything else they want to revisit before chronicity more or less reasserts itself?
Yeah, I've got this head.
Ah,
Right.
Oh,
well,
right, the
that's-
head.
Yep, Afidasa came along in the raid. So in stage 4, after the raid, well, you couldn't enter the central citadel of the Videli. They were able to activate all their worst and oldest defenses, which sheathed the citadel in coruscating lightning and black fire, and summoned horrible demons to swipe at and try to eat anyone who drew close enough, that sort of thing.
Rude.
And they conducted negotiations from a balcony in which they surrendered and offered tribute in the form of imprisoned spirits of water and air. The water spirits were offered to the sea god Magasta. The air spirits are intended to be to be a peace offering to the storm horde, I believe.
Mm-hmm. I've got a bag of the winds.
Yep. And as part of the surrender, the Yellow King of the Videli knelt down and allowed himself to be beheaded by a red Videli swordsman with a great two-handed sword. The head flew off the balcony and was left to be taken away by your fellows, on the understanding that the head is dead effectively, spiritually, but it is an echo of the Yellow King, and it can still converse, and could be a potential spy in your midst if you don't keep him blindfolded and gagged or in a sack as he is now. But yes, the fellow that Yelmalio stared at and was rebuked, the king of the wicked sorcerers, the poachers of Oabil, is here in a sack. And you already rolled a success on your harmony rune, so give me a POW times 5 roll with that harmony rune as an augment, Afidasa,
Pow times 5.
with a plus 20.
Yep. I can do that. Sorry again, I still have a very loud keyboard. I have not bought a new keyboard yet. New computer, but not new keyboard. That is pretty good. 95 altogether. There we go.
Okay, success. All right, Afidasa. As soon as the head lands on the ground, as in it is free of the wards of the central citadel, you feel an immediate connection to it on a deep and spiritual level.
To a head.
Yes, a head in an iron mask that is immediately and painfully familiar.
Oh no.
This is the guy. I mean, it isn't. It's an echo of him now. He left as soon as he was beheaded.
Didn't want to experience that, coward.
Yeah, but it is the head of the face that's been dogging your spiritual journeys. The face from the glimpse you had into Gabaryanga's tragic past.
Ooh.
The head is the Yellow King in the myth, but in the same way that you're both Aphidasa and Philomena, the head is also Astamanix of Aphajan, the Slaver King.
Ah.
He's
That
here in the
fucker.
hero quest with you, and he has been he's the one in the myth who is responsible for manipulating the storm and moon people into war in the first place.
That fucker.
The other gods established in the raid that they schemed to set you at each other's throats to take everything.
That absolute fucker.
No, I didn't roll anything for it, but given that I was totally right, and this, justifies all of my crazy sayings, can I get
Yes.
some illumination for being correct?
Yeah, roll d3.
Fine, have it.
Plus 2 illumination. And put a check in it. Why not?
All right.
A check in illumination? Okay, I didn't even know you could do that.
It's a skill. It's a magic skill.
Oh.
And it's also kind of a rune, but not exactly.
I better get some illumination out of this too.
Yes, that makes sense. You also roll d3.
Thank you.
Coming face to face with your sixth soul.
I was gonna say, this is like deep shit. There you go.
Also +2 to your illumination skill. Which, this being Hero Quest, you can roll like any other skill if you can back it up. It's being able to see between the lines.
Yeah.
And,
It's just a bit weak still. I hope it gets better.
well, yeah, that's why you gotta train at it.
Yep.
That's what the king is. That's why the king has been putting you through weird weeks-long rituals to
Yep.
get it as high as it is.
Hopefully I finally get it, considering I wasn't doing so hot at the training sometimes.
And this whole experience is a demonstration of how it's useful.
To recognize
So-
connections with the myths, huh?
Yeah. So
So you weren't there when I explained this, but basically, everybody's got a 7-part soul, and one of those parts is your other, or your shadow. It's everything you're not. And I logically concluded that he was yours, given that you like approach spirits with harmony and cooperation, and he approaches them with domination and so like just does not make deals. He just commands and compels and extorts.
you are connected through your harmony rune, but he has an inverted harmony rune, the rune of slavery. It's order without compassion. So you, I forget by what. Oh, yes. At this point, Cerulia is informed by Dian Shu that there is a sort of escalating argument going on beyond the walls of the defenses outside the camp at Vardanavand.
Yep, we should get back and sort it out.
Yes, Ganalada is confronting the storm worshipping Zarnastangi and being very vociferous about it. And let's see. Does anyone have any way you want to try to augment the journey back or your entrance when you arrive at Vardanavand?
You asking me?
This is now stage 5 of the myth. This is a general question to anyone.
Okay.
If Slan wants to overcharge the stone ship's engines or engage the secret defensive protocols or offensive protocols, now would be the time.
It's probably like boosting the engine sounds like a good move.
It's a stone ship, so you can use your stone shaping skills to augment the ship.
We're trying to speed up our arrival?
Or the effects of your arrival.
Yeah. So I could roll masonry to boost the ship.
Yes.
Okay,
You
I
could
want to
even
do
do
that.
you could even do your once per session awaken stone to awaken the ship for this.
Oh, that sounds extremely appropriate, but I can only do that if I succeed, right?
Yes, it would be something you apply to the success.
Okay, let me see what I want to augment it with. I'll just do my usual thing of augmenting my best skill with my best rune and use Earth.
Success on Earth, +20 to masonry.
And for masonry, I gotta always remember that I've got enchanted masonry tools, so I get another 15.
Plus 35?
All right, you get a success on masonry.
Yes, I would like to awaken the ship because that sounds badass.
All right. You're using your once per session ability to turn all of the ship's stone substance into stone as he was in the Golden and even the Green Age. All right. If you want to, you can roll a rune associated with the Flintnail cult and spend any number of rune points from your existing pool.
Hmm.
This would benefit from the augment.
Even if I roll Earth and the augment was also Earth?
That's a fair point. No, you would have to, I think, just roll that unaugmented, I think,
Okay,
if
well,
you go with Earth.
in that case, I think because augmented stasis is better than unaugmented Earth, I'll go with augmented stasis.
Rolling what plus stasis?
Stasis plus the augment from Earth that I have.
All right, yes.
And I'm spending 1 rune point.
Okay. A special, too. Very interesting. All right, that was stasis. So, all right. Stasis is the rune of Mostal. You've awakened the ship substance. All right. The ship is now essentially a transformer. It can take any basic shape you want. If you want to make it fly, it can fly now.
They fly now?
It is fully modular. It is flow stone beneath your feet that responds instinctively to your directives to shape itself.
Well, since I did this with stasis, it would be appropriate to...
Once it assumes a fixed shape, it is fixed. It is empowered by stasis to resist change at all costs.
Yeah.
But
But then
until you give it a definite shape, it is protean.
Yeah, but then I think I'll transform it into what I assume was its original default state before it was specifically shapeshifted into a boat. Which I'm going to assume is some sort of giant stone warrior.
You are yes, okay.
We could get a Gundam.
You get a towering stone gelante the size of a mountain, like
Yeah,
like the one whose body formed the basis of the city of Pavis.
awesome.
The ship grows and expands, drawing in awakened stone from the floor of the sea, until it stands in the water, and the water only rises past its knees. And all the galleries and compartments of the ship have become the organ compartments of the living stone giant, which has room for hundreds or thousands of Mustali if they live very, very cramped.
Please tell me this doesn't count as Big Bird's form in the God Time.
No, Big Bird is
Okay.
part of a avelry stable, the term for cavalry mounted on birds. Which, though he is partially mechanized, or at least partially stone, and much larger to be able to support Slan in the God Time.
So we take this giant Gundam.
Yes, and you take an enormous stone Gundam stomping across the fields of Pamaltella without needing to use the water passage. And its enormous strides take it from hilltop to hilltop.
Full on Pacific Rim. We just need a
All
kaiju
right.
to fight.
All right. Just to set the scene, you're striding across the landscape in this enormous Gundam to towards the defenses at Vardanavand. In the north, the towering Tarmo mountains that are still only as tall as the knees of the enormous spike behind them are mantled in storm clouds. And to the south, where the horizon dissolves into the sea of fire, there's Orlanth still strangling the life out of Artmal. Their bodies formed of clouds at this distance.
Would Halamalau, as they arrive, use Cloud Clear on either the actual embodiment of Orlanth or on the Storm people? Like, would that
Mm.
actually have any effect on either?
Oh yes, tactically, Cloud Clear can be okay. So the most powerful of the Storm Tribe spells require that there are clouds in the sky above them, clouds from which to call thunderbolts and lightning bolts. You can use Cloud Clear tactically to wipe out their clouds and deny them their greatest offensive powers.
Okay.
It is also a direct abjuration of their gods on the mythic level. So you can use Cloud Clear to just power your solar influence against the strength of air.
All right then. That would be Halamalau's contribution to their arrival on the Stone Giant.
All right.
Though I'm unclear as to where we are. I assume we're inside the organ compartments of the giant now?
I would say that there is a viewing compartment in the crown of the giant. So you are in like a windowed area above its eyes and its brow.
I'm guessing that's what the deck became? The deck of the ship?
Yeah.
Yes, though it's
Okay.
enclosed now.
All right. Then yeah,
Right.
Halamalau's contribution would be Cloud Clear being cast as we arrive. What would I do for that? Let's see. I've already used Harmony. Fire again? I mean,
Yes.
for the first time in this session. The cast.
Yeah, it normally, it costs 1 point, and it is a fire rune spell. So that's the the rune you roll.
mhm.
Do you have a applicable passion do you have a applicable existing passion augment?
Um, see, honor maybe.
Yeah. For a rune spell, you can use uh, sing, dance, some magic skills, or a passion to augment. Honor would make sense.
Because the idea is that we want to come in and uh we do want to still try to negotiate, I forget. I don't know. I assume that we want to at least have them be aware that the reason they started this whole fight is because of the whole thing. And since they're still hurting and angry because of the whole shifting slaughter, I assume that defanging them is probably the better approach than being all like, hey, listen to us. So
They're much
yes,
more likely to listen to us if they have less options for fighting.
yes, that's my logic.
The more we have the upper hand, the more likely they are to listen.
I don't know if this is particularly honorable though, but you know,
It's
I
definitely in line with elf honor. This would be a pretty standard approach for solar elf warfare against air stuff.
okay. Then I'm gonna roll honor as my augment.
hmm
Well,
Crit
okay.
plus 50 to fire
Whoa!
sky, and
Well,
plus 50
okay.
to honor based things for the scene.
So that happened. So plus 50 to my 92 fire.
A crit,
I
you
hate
don't have to
this.
spend any rune points. How many rune points total do you have in Ilmalio?
I have 2 at the moment. Total, as in my pool, it's normally 4.
Yeah, total in your, okay. You do not have to spend any rune points for this because it's a crit on a rune spell casting.
Okay.
And that means you can spend as many rune points as you could possibly call up at an optimum moment. So, yeah, as you call out for this power, it resonates through the god time into multiple versions and instances of yourselves throughout the rest of your existence, possibly in previous existences. You have felt a brief pull where a part of yourself and a part of your connection to Yilmalio was drawn to this moment in the god time. You get the effects of a 4 rune point cloud clear without spending any rune points yourself.
A 4 rune point cloud clear. What does that entail? Do I manage to reach all the way over to Orlands or something?
Cloud clear is a stackable spell. It has a base cost of 1, but its effect increases the more you spend in. It has a diameter of 100 meters per point of the spell. So you get a 400 diameter meter cloud clear.
I
You create,
push the clouds all the way to the horizon.
yeah, it's yeah, in American terms, it's a quarter mile. In non-American terms, it's well, it's 400 meters across
Yeah. No,
in a perfect circle, geometrically perfect.
Nobody ever used decimeters, but it would be 40 of them.
Yes, I assume.
I think a decimeter is a tenth of a meter.
Or decameters.
Yeah,
I mean,
decameter would be 10
Yeah,
meters.
since a centimeter is 100th of a meter, so.
4 kilometers. Or is that 1,000? Ah, fuck it. I'm gonna shut up
Kilometers
before I keep
is
embarrassing
thousands.
myself.
It's
It
fine.
would be 4,000 meters if it were 4 kilometers.
I'm going to not embarrass myself further.
It takes 10 rune points to get a full kilometer across.
Ah, jeez.
Of course, the ever-changing winds and sky may soon distort or obliterate the cleared circle. So it's not a permanent thing, but you have punched a hole in the clouds 400 meters across that goes straight up to the sky dome.
Gee.
It's a
lots
direct
of
shaft to the position of Pole Star up in the sky at the summit of the sky dome.
Neato.
So yeah, I'll say with that, the enormous stone gelante arrives on the scene, in which the escalating argument between Ganalada and her kin, who are Zarnastangi, blue people of a slightly different shade than the Art Mali, riding enormous loper beasts. I've posted
Yeah.
one in the thread, somewhere up thread, so just scroll up a bit. Enormous sloth creatures, but not furry, more leathery, with double rows of eyes down their backs, which are bright orange and blink in syncopated rhythms. The Zaranastangi wear flowing blue robes and carry long, jagged and curved blades of silver and aluminum. They appear to be trading ceremonial insults with Ganalada, but she is holding her own and proclaiming very boastfully. She is actually standing 2-footed on the shoulders of her loper beast, and gesturing very, very animatedly as she shouts back at the others Zaranastangi.
I assume the Saranastangi didn't really care about the whole cloud clearing.
No, there was the advent of the Gelante and the cloud clearing brought all of that to a sudden halt. You have commanded the whole scene's attention. There's still the mantling storm clouds in the north. The rest of the storm horde hasn't committed yet, but seeing you will almost certainly draw their attention.
But
But you've effectively surprised everyone. How do you make use of it?
could I do the king greeting of the Saranastangi, or better yet, instruct Slan to have the Jolanti giant former airship do the king greeting of the Saranastangi, assuming it is.
Ooh, I like the second one. Yes.
Yeah, let's go for it.
However, it is a pretty sharp deviation from the trend of the myth for Halmalayo to have that secret knowledge.
Yeah.
So,
what should I have to do for that?
do you have any points in illumination yet?
Nope, Kakti is not illuminated yet at all.
But you're trying to do this. Give me a POW times 3 roll with your crit bonus from honor.
Okay. Let's see. Where are you, pal? So that would be 36 plus 50 then?
Yep, 86. Normal success. All right. You gain 1 point in a new skill, Cacti. Powered by your commitment to protecting others, you are forcing yourself to see the universe in new and increasingly daunting ways. You get 1 point in illumination.
Neato. All right.
Then that is a magic skill. So add 1 to your magic modifier and roll that with your honor augment.
Okay, so I don't have very much moon runes, so I don't know exactly how this is gonna work. So I've got my 1 in illumination. I roll 1 plus 50 then? That's it?
What is your modifier for magic skills?
It is 0. I don't know
Oh.
why I forget why I don't have like.
Oh yeah, you just have terrible charisma primarily, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Uh,
Not much of a leader, Kakti.
all right. Well, roll 51. Yeah, it would be 51. Let's see what you get.
Okay.
You got
Normal.
it. All right. Yes. You have just enough. Put a check in illumination.
All right.
You are able to assert your individuality on the progression of the myth sufficiently to substitute this action in spite of the bonds of causality, primarily powered by your commitment to justice, as in the honor crit.
Neat.
And that has opened your mind to some of the deeper mysteries of Yelmalio's transformation in the Great Darkness. His transformation from dethroned Solar Emperor to selfless guardian of the Sleeping Woods.
All right.
So roll D3. Add 3 to your cult lore Yelmalio.
Okay.
Helmalayo. All right. You are able to successfully convey to Slan the ritual greeting of the Zaranastangi. Slan, what role do you use to convey that greeting to the Zaranastangi via the gigantic stone Gundam?
Masonry again?
Sure. How would you augment that?
I could just use the Earth augment from earlier.
It's a matter of fidelity. Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's what I usually do in the sessions is I get an Earth augment early and then I just use that for everything.
That's pretty standard Mistali. Trolls do the
It would
same
be
with
movement
darkness.
to change your augment.
The movement comes from the skill being used. Since the being is already alive. The Earth augment represents fidelity of connection to the living stone. It's a normal success, but it's plenty. Yes, as the enormous Gelante comes to a stop underneath the cloud-cleared circle, Slan's directives command it to successfully convey the greeting of the Zaranastangi, which, go ahead.
I imagine the greeting, sort of the Jolante stretching out its arms, cast a shadow directly over the Saranastangi. So when they look up, they just see this giant stone warrior making the greeting.
Exactly. And they are appropriately taken aback. But they are not panicked or made afraid exactly by the advent. They are just thoroughly convinced not to respond hostilely to the advent of the enormous giant. Ganalada has sat back down on her loper beast, but otherwise stands holding herself sort of theatrically aloof in spite of everything. So, at this point, the leader, this is significant, clearly significant enough. At this point, the leader of the Zaranastangi emerges. And anyone can roll POW times 3 with any magically appropriate augments you can think of.
Augmenting with moon.
Augmented. I was looking at my magic skills. I was like, which one applies here?
Moon is a pretty applicable augment for anything going on here. What skill are you rolling? A Statfish roll. Yeah. All right. Well, you do have a special moon augment for this session.
It's still useful.
My moon is so low, though.
It's not the only thing to roll.
Yeah, but I was thinking loyalty and complete bar joke. We are counting Gabaryanga and Gebel and people like that as part of our group in the incomplete.
Yes, Ravina was specifically added to your group by the king. She counts.
Okay, then loyalty and complete bar joke will be my augment.
Yeah, I think I'll also use loyalty group.
And that would mean plus 20 to my 36. Oh, okay then. Whatever you say, roll.
What did you ultimately roll, Halamalayo? Oh, POW times 3.
It was my POW times 3 plus 20 from loyalty and complete bar joke being a normal success.
All right, normal success. Okay.
Afidasa, Vincent?
Right.
POW times 3 and any sort of magical augment would be applicable.
A magical augment. I mean, I could just
We're
sing
rolling
again.
I don't.
Not singing this time. This is about perception.
Would one of my spirit abilities help me here?
Yes, definitely. Looking at the list.
What would you feel works best?
Well, we're meeting the leader of the Sarnastangi, apparently.
Oh yeah, I'm just asking in terms of the spirit abilities, which one applies? Is it lore?
Yeah.
Is it dance? Like how obviously present is the magic that I can grasp with my abilities? That's the question.
I guess it depends on
I
what
think.
the leader is.
I think. Of the magic skills, Spirit Dance would be the most appropriate. Spirit Dance or Illumination.
Yeah, but both of those are not skills I'm super incredible at, but my Spirit Dance is definitely better than Illumination, so...
You're augmenting anyway.
Yeah, let's try that. Is this the augment the Spirit Dance?
Yes, no, the Spirit Dance is the skill being rolled. It's the thing being augmented.
Oh, I thought... Okay.
Power times 3 was the base roll.
Oh no, you're right. Sorry. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. So
I'm getting a little confused. You're rolling Spirit Dance to augment POW times 3. Sorry.
We'll try it. Ah!
You get it.
The Stoutfish.
Right on the dot. Put a check in it. No, Stoutfish would be one more.
Ah, okay. The just almost Stoutfish.
Plus 20 to POW times 3.
The almost Stoutfish. POW times 3.
If my math is right, you've got 15, so...
Yep.
Yep.
Whew, still not as high as I'd like it, but we'll try it. Meh.
Yeah. Still not a fumble. And, so, Homalayo special, Slan normal, and the other 2 fails. Slan and Homalayo are both able to recognize that the leader of the Zaranastangi is, well, her name is apparently Dundela in the myth. You know that instinctively, but you're able to recognize, each of you, that Dundela within the myth is actually Igala, the matriarch of the Sable Riders. But her Loper beast has long, curling horns rising from its head.
The blue elephant?
Oh no, the blue elephant is with Afadasa as her guardian.
Oh, okay, right.
The horns go back. They're Sable Rider horns, but on a Loper beast.
I see.
Sable Loper beast.
Yes, and so the two of you who succeeded are aware that this is Igala, and Halmalayo, because you got a... Oh, sorry. Okay. We'll get back to Halmalayo when he comes back. So, you are on the scene, and Slan knows that the queen of the Zaranastangi is Igala in the Middle World. She addresses the... not just the gods and heroes in the Gelante and Ganalada, but the Artmali in the defenses behind you, which are just in the background. You can see Jarkaru and some of the Artmali standing prominently on the wall. They are part of this exchange now as well. The Queen of the Zaranastangi says, that she and her people wish no further bloodshed with the Artmali. They demand that the the land-bound hunters take to their ships and leave before the storm people finish their killing. The storm people are strong. The storm people are the power of the age. Stop standing in their way. Get out of our way. They do not wish to hurt the Artmali any further. Anyone can respond to this.
We too desire peace. So go and fetch the leader of the Storm People, and we will see it done.
A Zaranastangi in the throng facing you blinks away.
And
A few
let's go get
seconds-
Jakaru.
And a few seconds later blinks back. The storm clouds in the north move in towards the cloud clear, bulking up at the edge of the circle, but not yet willing to try to overcome it. Jakaru and Jakaru, followed by the Artmali hunters, at least a party of them, his guards, emerges from the defenses to stand in the circle facing the Zaranastangi. From the north, out of the storm clouds, flies a flight of enormous winged bulls and cows. It is the cavalry of Desero's own clan, the Sky Bull Riders. Desero is among them. He is an enormous blue man, naked, with wild, flowing white hair and a long beard. And though he seems to be quite young, and his skin is alive with curling air runes that flow across it as he moves. Behind the Skybull riders, on the ground and in the sky, come the horde of the storm people. Some of them flying, some of them riding winged animals, some of them just bounding along the hills of Pamaltella. Halamalayo, the gods are at a standoff with the Zaranastangi at the circle, awaiting Desero, who they're going to try to talk to and reveal what you've all learned. Your special, in addition to revealing that Igala was drawn into the myth as the Zaranastangi queen, in your moment of recognition, your recognition was reflected in her. She is now aware that you are Yalmali, or Halamalayo rather, in the myth, and may or may not act accordingly.
Oh, so she also gained a point of illumination, so to speak? She's aware that
Well,
Takti is Hanamalao?
You don't know whether she gained a point of illumination, but you feel on an intrinsic level that she gained awareness of you.
Uh,
She may or may not have the illumination to act on that awareness. That you don't know.
oh.
And she saw Cacti just like we saw Igala.
Hmm.
Yeah, but she did not see Slan.
Or rather, did not see Talak.
Well, yeah, she sees Slan. She may not see Talak, but it doesn't take a genius, given the context. She's still a thinking person, regardless of the pull of fate in the myth.
And we saw this arrow?
Yeah, Desero and his Sky Bulls they don't descend. They hate to descend unless it's for a good time, and the good time hasn't started yet as far as they're concerned. So the Sky Bulls and many of the other storm warbands circle around the edge of the cleared hole in the sky, uh, fraying it at the edges, but not yet plunging into it or sending the clouds flowing into it, or at least trying to. And circling around you in a somewhat disconcerting fashion, Desero calls down to you, challenging you, saying that Orlanth is the king of the gods, and he is the son of Orlanth, born in the Tarmo Mountains to rule all this half of the earth, as Vinkat rules in the north. My father has beaten your god. I have beaten your emperor. Why do you continue to stand before me? You are just fishers and hunters. Leave, take your monsters and demigods with you. These are our lands now.
Is the challenge being posited to us as a group, or
Yeah,
just,
anybody can respond to that.
Okay.
And where would you have them go, son of Orlanth? As you said, Vingat rules the north, and you now rule the south. Where is left for them in the world?
Go back to their mother if they care to. There are enough stars in the sky, and plenty of blue people to go around. We have had enough of your witcheries and bedevilments. You have paid for your annoyances and the death of your god. Don't force us to bloody our hands further. Death is new and not yet to my taste. But I will deal it where it ought to be dealt.
I believe, Cerulia, this is your prompt to point out that they dealt the blow to the wrong god.
No, I mean, I'm going to bring that up in a sec. I'm just thinking. One sec.
Okay. I really don't want to declare an enemy of justice if I don't have to.
Yeah, I will say this, okay? I will name myself to this king. I'll say my name is Queen Cerulia of Mernitza, and I've come to negotiate peace here in the south as Vinkat has peace in the north.
Desero has pretty high honor, and so he bows very gracefully from the back of his enormous sky bull and acknowledges your royalty.
And I will also say that this will not be a negotiation of surrender. The Armali are prepared to continue waging this war, and should no peace be brought to accord, preparations are being made to bring forth Jigrekrian Umath Slayer.
All right, that's a big move. How do you back that up with a roll?
Intimidate, maybe?
How about battle?
Battle.
Yeah.
Augmented by Moon by just trying to point out to him that his position and victory are not so secure.
Yep. You've definitely accumulated enough resources on the Artmali side since you arrived in the myth. Battle plus Moon.
So that's battle as an augment?
No, that was it. That's a success.
Oh,
All
okay.
right. Yes. Yes. You. What is your goal in that statement?
Again, to bring him to the table by making him realize he hasn't won a total victory here, and there's going to still be fighting if he can't negotiate. Because he's just demanding the withdrawal outright. I want to bring him to terms.
Yes, that is definitely enough to get things to that footing. You convince Decero that you can hold out long enough that things will escalate very drastically with the arrival of Tolat, Shargash, Jagrekriend. That is not fighting Umoth Slayer is not something Decero's horde wants after the death of so many chieftains. And so, yes, he is willing to speak to speak of terms of peace rather than outright surrender. He expects tribute, the ransom of hostages, if you have any, among those they think are dead and gone. No, you do not. You have not made any effort to take any hostages. When you attacked their camps, you were literally and figuratively there to spill blood in the name of Tolat.
Yeah, and I doubt I could have done anything with the arrow trance anyway, myself personally.
Yeah. No, you don't have any human prisoners, but you do have the imprisoned air spirits from Oabil.
Yes.
Yeah. But I assume that's
We'll
going to
get
come
to
up
that.
naturally when, that's going to come up naturally when we present the head or talk about the head.
Yeah, so he's talking and thinking in terms of ransom and tribute to get the Decero's horde to not press the Artmali any further. It would take further negotiation to soften his stance, or to get him to agree to a specific ransom or tribute.
Ransom and tribute's all very well. What I want to know is, after the ransom and the tribute, what's the status of the Artmali people in your conquered land? Or do you still wish them to depart?
If they... That is a good subject for a roll.
Insight human?
Insight human to know what he would want. Something expressive to get him to agree to a position you would want.
Starting with insight?
Insight. All right. He would think in terms of, well, the Artmali would be basically not thralls or Katars of the settling storm people in Decero's eyes, but they would be acknowledged as a tribe, but be expected to acknowledge him as the king of the south, which Pomalt might disagree with, but that's a war for another season.
Oh, that's already like way better than I thought.
What of the Eldrami and the Puja leg, though?
Oh, why don't you ask?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're done for right now, then sure. Halamalau will ask. On behalf of both the Eldrami and both.
Decero says that the trees have moved once the storm people have picked places to build their steads. The trees may move back in to fill in the wild places, and the bat people would be would be a tribe in his kingdom as well, if they are part of the settlement, which Gebel is / Pujaleg is at this point.
Should I roll Insight Elf to determine if that would be agreeable for my own people at this point in time in the
Sure.
god time? I'm not gonna augment with anything, or maybe I should. Actually, I have no clue. Actually, I will. Augment with Earth.
Yep.
Okay.
Earth is practical, it makes sense, and communitarian.
And then plus
Success. Yes. The the elves require terms on how and when the storm people can be uh, how and when the storm people can make use of the woods for, well, wood. They require guardian. They require pacts sworn by the storm people that Desero has not yet put on the table. He's only thinking of them in terms of a different tribe. He doesn't recognize the intricacies of ruling over Aldriami.
how would I be able to introduce this without the involvement of actual Aldria in this? Since I assume Aldria is still elsewhere and also still bitter about the end of the Green Age.
Well, this would be an act to bring her up to speed with the Storm Age, basically. Figuring out how to facilitate some kind of communication without domination and violence between the Storm people and Aldria.
Does Cacti happen to know enough about how the Grove in Pavis in modern
That's the
times
challenge,
works?
isn't it? It would probably be a... actually, this could be a plant lore roll with the
Okay.
benefit of your Earth Rune augment.
Okay. So plus 20.
A success.
Correct.
All right. It's not a special, but it's a normal. I would say that in context, Halmalayo is able to, through their counsel and their steadfastness and their refusal to rise to the bluster of the storm people, as they are always very swaggery in these sorts of conditions.
Okay.
The cool, loamy practicality of the earth helps root the light in the requirements of the groves, which teaches the Storm King about the ways of uh, wood, well, of plant rune people. It teaches the Storm people how to live in better accord with the plant life of Pamaltella. And so any settlement of them here after this would be more beneficial to the Aldriami overall.
Okay. So essentially, through my conversation, or just through listening to the king, would I just be able to like point out that that won't work, that won't work, that one might, that won't work, and he'll get an idea from that, or
Yes, you successfully get Desero to stop treating the Aldriami like a tribe of humans and start treating them like a forest of Aldriami.
okay. Well, that's how I'm allowed half done.
All right. Jerk.
Are you done for now then? And does anybody else want to go, or should I continue?
That's all right with me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay then, I want to turn to the king, the Storm King here, and say, before we continue peace negotiations, I have a question I want to ask. Like, Now we are talking in terms of, ransoms and tribute and tribes. Why was this not an option from the beginning? Why was thraldom not an option from the beginning? This war that you've waged does not seem to me to match up with how I know your people to wage wars. It was not a war of, conquest. It was a war of extermination.
There was a blood price to be settled first. Our herds were sickened and our people poisoned by spirits sent on the rays of the blue moon.
Ah, yes. See, if I may give you some advice, queen to king, never ask a question you don't already know the answer to. And at this point, I want to take out the head of the Yellow King and throw it at his feet and, have it roll and rest at his toes.
All right. The Yellow King is already defeated, but will not act of his own accord in this interest to betray himself. However, it's just an echo, and since it's defeated, you can command it without a roll. What do you command it to do?
Speak on what it has done to the Storm people.
All right. The head of the Yellow King, in perfect eloquent trade talk, begins to describe in detail the unspeakable sorcerous rituals of the Videli, in which they summon and torture and sorcerously mutilate by altering the magical composition. Spirits and godlings they call up from the ends of the earth with their sorcery. They essentially stole vaguely similar spirits from other pantheons and elements of the cosmos and used their evil magic to surgically alter them into the semblance of moon spirits sent by the blue moon. And so used them to inflict many horrible, terrible events on the storm people, which are remembered in the early myths of the beginning of death. And as the Yellow King calmly and pleasantly relates these terrible, terrible deeds, well, one of the core traits of storm people is that they are very emotional, very blustery.
Mm-hmm.
And so as the vile story continues, DeCero looks to the scene where Orlanth strangles Artmal and begins to beat his chest and groan and wail and cry great manly tears. And the storm people all begin to echo the rolling emotional outburst of their king.
Let's pile in on this rebel god, even though I'm a rebel at the moment too. I want to use my power once a session, the Spiral Path, to make the Storm King realize he's not been acting Orlanthi because of the manipulations of the Oabilites. He's been being genocidal instead.
Yes, you use your. This is your hero quest power.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you enlighten him to the truth behind his deeds in this myth. That he's effectively been used to spread the early onset of chaos in the Storm Age by the Videli, who use chaos as they use many terrible elements of the cosmos. And so
Graspbound Chaos is just an inverted purity rune. What's a purity rune? Why it's chaos?
And now Jarkaru steps up, now that you have the DeCero off balance. He wears the red sword in the white sheath given to him by Ilmalio, and a visible shaft of blue light from the blue moon, which is at perfect half moon position at the moment illuminates him. Though the red star of Shargash is beginning to circle ominously towards this area on the sky dome and glow. And at this point, Jarkaru is going to use the power Afidasa granted him through his blessing. He's going to spend 1, 3. Yes, he's going to take a big risk and spend 9 total MP to invoke the full effects of this, a maximum effect, which I'll say is a special, not a crit. But he guarantees a special on an orate roll to draw the sword and proclaim that the Art Mali, unlike Decero and his Orlanthe, have stayed true to themselves in this conflict. Though their god died, they looked to their friends and those who offered their assistance voluntarily and relied on the skills taught to them by their ancestors to fight the victorious Orlanthe to a draw. He asserts the greater rightness of his position over over the wrongness that Decero and Orlanthe have done his people in this war. Does anyone want to use any other powers to augment this moment of flux in the myth? This is a big moment, everyone.
Would that special thing I got us earlier help us?
That's what's happening right now. Jarkaru is using that.
Yeah, but can I empower it in some way? Can I just say like, yeah, I'm gonna make it extra good? Is it augmentable in some way?
Yeah. Roll one of your Ernalda cult runes, and you can your earlier augment from your passion towards Gabaryanka would apply.
Good. So, just harmony would work.
Yes. Success. All right. Harmony, in Afidasa's context, is her role as the intermediary between the Art Mali and the land. And so, briefly, Afidasa, you call on your connection with the land to assert the Art Mali's, the justice of the Art Mali's claim to live here in peace, along with the Pujaleg and the Aldriami who've joined with them. What does that look like? What sort of display do you make with the magic of your harmony rune?
I mean, I want to improve his resolve. I want to make sure this works out. Just trying to think how I can formulate that into something concrete.
The phantasmal presence of the Art Mali ancestors appeared when he received the sword. You could invoke their presence again.
You think they would help him?
You could call on the earth gods of Pamalt, the Earth King. He's the real ruling god of this quarter
that would be
Decero
best.
Will have to deal with next.
That would be best.
So,
considering he's the one whose strength we're hoping to somewhat reach. Considering this is about a new leader coming into his own. So yeah. But can I like beseech him to do something directly, or is it more about inspiring the new king to be as the old, to take strength from the old?
You would be. Think of it this way: the Art Mali have been specifically given a right to live in Pamaltella by Pamalt. You went to him and especially his wife. I'm looking her up in Revealed Mythologies. Faranar, yes. Faranar is the great earth witch goddess. She is Ernalda of the north, of the south, basically, in the household of Pamalt. And as an intermediary on a mythic level, it's her that you speak with, her and her daughters. And her emissaries just a second. This is an important moment. I want to get the mythic connection straight. So, oh, it's actually only 2:30. We have about another hour. Cool. All right. Yes. You call out to the household of Pamalt that you are the intermediary for on behalf of the Art Molly. And you call out to Faranar and his wife, and Aleshmara, his mother-in-law, the great goddesses of the earth in this part of the world. The elder and the matron. And what appears is out of the east, the fields of Pamalt, flies an enormous green parrot, iridescent. The green parrots are the ears of Aleshmara, Pamalt's mother-in-law, his elder counselor. The enormous parrot flutters, swoops to just within the cloudbreak circle and flies its own spiral in the counter direction to the whirling spiral of the storm people before settling down beside Afidasa, beside the stone giant and Jarkaru. And when the parrot settles, it speaks in a perfect imitation of the goddess Aleshmara's voice, proclaiming that Pamalt has judged that the Art Mali are the true residents here, and the storm people are not welcome. If the fighting continues, Pamalt will come out from his fields, and they will know what it means to meet the Earth King.
Ah, hell yes.
It's a bit overkill if I declare if I declare Jarkaru the ally of justice at this point.
That would be a highly. This is sort of the judgment of the gods moment.
Yeah, no, overkill.
If you're gonna
Overkill
throw it.
Yes, overkill is the way to go.
I just feel so bad for the Orlandi now. But
Nope,
yeah, Halamalao that has not declared anything during the entire time in the God Time, this entire event. Will
They have to learn wisdom now, or else when are they gonna?
Will point out at Jarkaru and declare them an ally of justice under their right as an aspect of the Emperor's son.
All right. Yes. The Emperor's son, standing still there over the shoulder of the spike, pulses once, and a shaft of green tinted light, filtered by the leaf of a dryad on the slopes of the spike, joins the shaft of blue coloring Jarkaru. And yeah, but under the moon and the sun, the Art Mali have the judgment of the gods behind them, and this only adds to the growing wailing and consternation of the storm people. However, at this point, Desero's trickster, a weird, gangly, naked man with a long, scraggly beard, painted in lewd runes.
Lewd runes?
Oh yes, just like Elusu has a man rune with boobies tattooed on her forehead. He has very lewd man runes
Oh.
Big old dick
and
and
lewd
balls.
depictions of the illusion and disorder runes tattooed on his body.
Basically, you're telling me you can add a dick to any rune you please.
If
you're so
if you're in
inclined.
or your Molly, why not?
They call it the illusion rune, Yurmal's balls. They mean juggling balls, but
I mean, there's different kinds of
I mean,
balls you
there's
can
3
juggle.
of them.
Yeah, you know, there's different ways
he's got
to
a
juggle
3T
balls.
screw.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Your Molly quips that the blessing of the gods is all good and well, but the whole thing falls apart if the top guy dies. And wings a venomed javelin at Jarkaru,
Oh God,
giggling
no,
as he does.
no.
Can I
All right.
catch the javelin?
Well, this is a critical moment.
We have to defend him.
Anyone can now roll Insight Human.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Any
Augmented with
augments
Can I
again would
augment it,
apply.
please? I need to augment it. Does
Yeah,
my augment
the
still
honor,
work?
Your honor augment would apply, Homalio, to this.
Will my
Oh,
augment
well,
still work
okay,
too?
then.
My inside human is terrible.
I'm going to use Loyalty Group as the augment.
Doesn't my augment with harmony and stuff still apply?
Yeah, harmony would work for this.
Okay.
20.
Nope.
Halabalao apparently understands humans very well today.
Yep. Thank God.
Yeah.
Ah! Close.
All right, but Afidasa and Slan less so. And that was a success for Cerulia.
Yep.
All right. So as Desero's trickster wings a wicked iron-tipped javelin dripping with venom at Jarkaru, those of you who succeeded on that Insight Human roll note a sudden twitch in Ganalada's person. She has said nothing since you all arrived, simply sat on her Loper Beast. But those of you who succeeded get advance warning of her seeing preparing herself before the trickster began to throw, and then seemingly marshaling all her effort to she blinks out of existence as the javelin leaves the trickster's hand and blinks back into existence, standing between Jarkaru and the path of the javelin. She is going to attempt to take the javelin on Jarkaru's behalf. Because you got a crit Halmalayo, you are able to read in just the moment the determined expression that crosses Ganalada's face. You become aware of the deep soul searching and prayers to Orlanth she has been making during this quest, trying to determine what her role is in all this. And she determined at some point after stage 3 that her role is to risk her life to save Jarkaru, potentially at the expense of her life.
Potentially only, so I could still intervene if I wish.
Yes, those of you who got a success on that Insight Human roll can take an action to try to protect Ravina or mitigate this moment in some way.
Could I use my either thrown javelin or one-handed javelin skill to catch the javelin myself instead?
You could use thrown javelin to intercept it.
Would like to do so. Could I keep using my honor, or would I?
Your honor would apply, but it is your roll is at a -30 from the swiftness of the javelin throw.
Then I would definitely want to use my honor then. So that would just be a +20.
Yes, and if you can cast
Hmm?
Speed Art on the first try, you can apply its bonus, which I think is 15.
So I expend an MP for speed art, or
Yeah, and roll POW ×5 before you make the javelin roll.
okay, where are you? Power times 5 would be 60. Unaugmented power times 5, right?
Uh,
For speed art?
add your honor augment.
Oh, I can? Without the minus?
Yes, this is no minus to the augment, just POW ×5 plus 50.
Okay, then that's my power times 5 plus 50 is failure, so speed art is a no.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
that's an auto fail. Okay, so Yolmalio casts a javelin of is it
Ha-
wood, copper, light?
Halamalayo and wood, I guess,
All right,
but
you go ahead.
not nothing.
Yeah, and not a fumble, so Aphadasa's retcon bonus wouldn't apply. So yes, you cast a javelin to try to intercept the one heading for Aphadasa, but the trickster's javelin rudely wiggles out around you. It
It
simply swerves out of your way unnaturally.
Your javelin flies into the crowd and hits Vernitin, who cries out, "My leg!"
And
I used to be an adventurer like you, then I took an arrow to the knee.
The whole javelin.
brutal.
Banned.
Cerulia, you got a normal success, right?
Yeah.
On the Insight Human. Do you take any action to try to intervene here?
Well, I'm not the self-sacrificing type, but I do have a shield. And I feel like if you put a shield between yourself and the javelin, it's not going to do much. Yeah, just what would I augment with? Shields are earth, which I don't have. My harmony is 50.
I didn't know speed art could apply to non-bows.
Oh yeah, it's people skilled javelineers with speed art is one of the stronger meta options for combatants in this game.
I see. Now I know.
Yeah, I guess I might as well try to augment with harmony.
Okay. Plus 20.
Okay, shield plus 20.
All right. Cerulia, just by a hair, you rush to try to stop the javelin from intercepting Ganalata, but it is just a fraction too fast for you. It actually blinks out of existence and blinks back in behind you to continue traveling towards the Zaranistangi, thanks to more rude trickster magic. And by blink, I mean it explodes into fart gas.
Yeah, of course it does. Fucking tricksters.
Aren't you the biggest one we have?
No, I'm very orderly and lawful. Why would you say otherwise?
Normal success, and just by a hair. That was Ganalata rolling her air rune. And she used her air rune to invoke shield before all this. because she knew this was going to happen. She protected herself with a 3-stack of shield, which is enough to negate...
Fart gas? No, it still stinks.
Well, no, not fart gas, but let's see how much a 1d10 gets the trickster. Oh, it's a whiff. Hilarious. The javelin passes through your defenses, your attempts to intervene in the trickster's spite. But when the javelin would make contact with Ganalata, instead a great gust wells up from nowhere and shoves it askew, so that it whistles right past her, rustling her hair, and then shoots off just over Jarkaru's shoulder to thump into the ground some distance behind him. The justice of your case was such that Orlanth chose to defend her against Decero's trickster, or at least a wind of Orlanth did.
Seems Orlanth himself has judged on this matter.
Decero's response is to ride his Skybull over to his trickster and smash the trickster in the face with a punch. The trickster is to be dragged off and disciplined for this, but this is what tricksters do. He apologizes, justice will be extracted up from the trickster. He apologizes profusely, for indeed, the justice or the injustice of the war has been sufficiently proven to the Orlanthi that off in the southern horizon, the deed is done. Artmal is dead, and the cloud form dissolves into the flames of the Sea of Fire. But the cloud form of Orlanth straightens with shoulders slumped, realizing too late that the manipulations of Vadel somewhere out in the god time have led him to yet another unfortunate explosion of violence. You have proven to the Orlanthi that they have made a terrible, terrible mistake.
Well,
Decero has taken 2 handfuls of earth and wiped them over his face and beard as a sign of contrition. He says, that he cannot claim kingship of the South until he has made amends for this grievous error. And he will start by extracting vengeance on those who tricked him and Orlanth to begin with. He turns towards Oabil and says, his people do not seek conquest here anymore. They will go to Oabil and fight the Videli.
That's how it became known as Umatella.
Yep, there's literally a whole section of the north of Pamaltella where storm power is supreme. And this can now be a myth that you can participate consensually with storm people in which everybody can have a good ending.
Yay! That is good.
So
I like
do
good
we
endings.
do we make a comment on how we already beat their asses a little bit? Just a tiny
Only
bit.
if you want to rub it in.
I mean, we showed them the head of their king.
Yeah, no, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we should point out that they'll probably
They can go
still
fight
be
the
inside
Videli
of the.
fleet and reinforcements.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
they'll
will be
probably still
more.
be in.
There will be more Videli coming from other parts of their colonial empire, summoned because of the sack of Oabil, which
Yeah.
the power of Desero's horde will neatly keep contained to their section of Pamaltella.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of telling them so that they knew that they probably were still holed up in their incredibly defensed golden area and
Well, that just
waiting
means they get
reinforcements.
to raid all over their suburbs and everything you haven't already taken. According to what you said, the red quarter will still be mostly untouched, and the brown.
Yeah, Halamala will tell them if nobody else volunteers that information. I'll just write it off as Kakti just acting under her gaff still.
Yeah. And that is actually a great way to motivate them. In addition to going to try to repair some of the damage they've done, one of the downsides of fighting the Artmali was they make almost nothing but their tools. There's not much loot to be had except for hunting tools. Not even boats, since they've summoned the boats from clouds, blue clouds from the moon, which the Orlamthi can't control. But the Videli have tons of stuff that they can cart off. And so the Orlamthi love to do that. And so in addition to making themselves right with their own morals, they can go make themselves richer.
Yeah. More just and more profitable. Win-win.
And at this point, I think you can feel the threads of the hero quest begin to diffuse. You have reached the conclusion of Desero's horde. Jarkaru is established as emperor of the Artmali. The storm people are going off to mess up the Videli. And
Did anyone remember to interrupt the summoning of Shargash?
at this point, you can reach out to Safara, and she will go to meet Shargash halfway so that he doesn't kill anyone once he touches down. She ascends on a shaft of red light and eventually returns looking very refreshed and even more demonic. So it's a great myth for her too. If you ask, she says she got to see her son in her husband's palace, among other things.
Okay then.
Is there anything someone wants to do to ceremonialize the end of the hero quest?
I like singing.
It seems like
All
it's
right.
worth writing down.
Halamala would like to say goodbye to the Aldriami and maybe mourn where the Halandriami were struck down or will be doomed in the dimming sun.
All right. Then each of you make sing rolls. You can augment however seems appropriate.
This was very important and emotional, and I think the best way I can express myself is via singing. So.
It's a shame my read-write Mostali is so bad, because I really want to write this stuff down.
Since my farewell is mostly plant stuff,
can I augment this? Can I augment this?
Yes.
Love of the group, here we go. Special! Yes. So is that a plus 30 then?
Yes.
Good. Hell yeah, this has brought me closer to the group. This better help. Yay! Ha!
Oh, a special as well.
I'm
emboldened.
I'm emboldened to make a very good song.
I would like to attempt to roll read-write Mostali, augmented by speak Mostali.
Makes sense to me.
Okay. Because my read-write Mostali is pretty bad.
You're gonna leave behind a record of the... Oh.
I'm attempting to leave behind a record, but...
Actually pretty close, but...
I would have made it with the augment. Damn it.
Oh, well. Let's see. Are you trying to inscribe this into stone?
Yeah.
Would you succeed if you had the equipment bonus from your enchanted tools?
Yes.
Then it'll count as a normal success.
Okay.
Uh, okay. Cerulia, what did you roll? I'll go down the list of people who rolled. Nano?
Oh, I was just doing sing.
Okay, so that was then 3 attempts at singing, 2 normals and a special, and then a normal success to write it down, or to write down elements of the quest. All right, that is 3, all right, 6 successes total in the ceremonializing of the end of the quest. And so, Fadasa, what is the main theme of the song at the end of the quest?
I mean, it's about how we as a group fulfilled these, absolutely humongous roles and came out, right at the end. We came out successfully at the end. This was very uncertain. It was very new to all of us, but the group came together. We all brought our specialties in and succeeded. So I think it's a song about, how we bridged that gap between the myth and us, and it came out for the better for all of us.
That sounds like the song would have the moon and harmony runes.
Yep.
Choose no, 2 runes is fine. 2 runes is already plenty expressive. Okay. Each of you who sung learns the song version of this myth, and you learn it in a magically charged form. I'll say that let's give Gabaryanga a play instrument roll. He gets out his kora for this. He gets a success as well. So each of you learns a song version of this myth, each of you who participates in the finale. Safara's dance was technically part of it as well. Whenever you perform this song specifically with the skill you rolled, so only sing, you don't know the instrument version of it, though Gabaryanga does, so you can think about that in terms of harmony. It is always 1 level of success higher than what you rolled, including bumping a special up to a crit. So this is a song you can't fumble. It is an enchanted song for you. You can still fail it, you can still mess up, but whenever you roll it, your success is +1. You should make note of that somewhere on your sheets. You know the song of Desero's Horde.
Can you spell that out just so I can copy paste it? Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure I write it correctly.
And Slan, what you have is a how would you describe the document you create?
It is probably sort of a very formal historical record to be properly archived.
Okay. The document you have, add the add an item called the Desero Incursion Ledger to your inventory.
Yeah, got it.
That is a magic item that adds, it's pretty specific, so I'll give it a pretty good bonus. a flat plus 20 to cult lore rolls related to the Desceros Horde myth.
Okay.
That's cult lore generally. Any god involved in it could get a bonus from using this record if it were translated for them, since it's in Mustali. But you have a magic, you've created a magic, each of you basically now has a magic guide to the myth in the form of the song or the ledger. The songs could be used as a substitute for cult lore rolls to guide you through elements of the myth in subsequent journeys, for instance. Or to teach the myth to others. There's a lot of ways you could use a magic song about a myth.
Hmm.
You the environment around you, the early storm age, dissolves into whirling mists of blue and red, which slowly resolve back into the box canyon where the rock speaks. As you emerge from the god time, you are yourselves, but changed. In addition to the songs you just won, change your characters' names back to their normal names, please. They have ceased to be those divine entities. So, off the top of my head, those of you who took things in the god time, Potov, you get to keep the rod of bind spirit.
Of course.
It is you emerge from the god time with it in your possession. You have a Videli rod from the storm age. Congrats. Off the top of my head, let's say it's worth 500L.
Now that I'm selling it.
Yeah, it's Cacti, I forget. You went rummaging through the Blue Videli mansions. Is there anything you took from them that you want to try to bring back into the middle world?
Actually, sure. The main thing that I went in there to do was to get to free a spirit, or rather to find something to give to Magasta. I don't know if Halamalau actually kept anything.
Yeah, you gave the water spirits back to Magasta.
Actually,
So
we didn't. Is it implied that we gave back the air spirits to the Orlanthi? Because I think that means that Potov kept the bag of spirits. If we didn't.
Now I
Oh.
released them as part of the ransom.
Yep.
Okay. Did any of the belongings that I brought into the God Age change? Since I did,
That's a good question.
I brought the potted blue moonflower with me.
Ooh, that's a
The
good
water
point.
skin of Solafel holy water.
You
I
didn't
am
use
assuming that the
it
king
would be
greeting of the
something
Sun.
it would be something you used, something that was brought to attention in the god time. So what would you say was your most important tool during the quest?
Considering that I didn't even use my power until the very end, the Halamalao's specific power, the king greeting of the Sarnastangi was the main thing that I used, and
Okay.
the javelin that missed, I guess.
Choose a rune to associate with the kin greeting.
I suppose harmony, for the context of what it was used for.
Okay. Then add to your quest to your sheet somewhere, wherever you keep track of unique magic stuff, that you learn a new variation of the Zaranastangi greeting, the kin greeting, which can be used to make peace with make peaceful contact with the Zaranastangi and other god time beings directly related to them by 1 degree. And considering they are they are descended from the blue moon, there's a lot of ways you can milk that. So make sure you write that down. You learn the kin greeting variant of the Zaranastangi greeting.
That's what I had already written down, so.
Yeah, I've got it written down as the kin greeting too.
Kin greeting, call it the extended kin greeting then.
Oh,
You
okay.
learn how the Zaranastangi salute their relatives.
I'm guessing that thematically, maybe Halamalao saw some of the Sananastangi perform it back, or perform the extended version in response to the Javanti giant. Maybe?
Well,
Or would it just be
no.
magically?
Well,
Yeah.
you would have learned it from the peaceful departure of the Zaranastangi horde, who were somewhat grateful to leave without spilling any further kin blood in fighting the Artmali. Also,
From maybe Gala. That's fine. That's fine.
also, there is a final event of the myth before you resolve fully. As the Zaranastangi begin to withdraw, Ganalada goes to join them. Her reason for separating from them is over, since they no longer wish to fight the Artmali. However, with the benefit of your several blessings, Jarkaru finds it within him to perform a deed of Artmal. In gratitude for Ganalada intercepting the bolt of Desero's trickster, he gifts her with a child of the red sword. He holds up the sword of the emperors, and into Ganalada's hand appears another red sword, like it, but different. Not yet as large, but destined to grow. This is the source of the sword of the Zaranastangi. As the Fallout epilogue plays, you feel that it is Ganalada's fate in the god time to use that sword to become the new queen of the Zaranastangi and lead them into the Middle Storm Age. This is the sword that it is this sword, the sword
The
that
unbreakable
Ganalada
sword.
rides off from, sword number 4 in the Red Sword lineage, that Gebel is seeking. This is the one that was carried by the emperors of East within time. He's usually called it the Sword of Dangbalu for a later Zaranastangi king, but Dangbalu was not the king who gained the sword, apparently. That was Queen Ganalada. When they emerge from the god time, both Gabaryanga and Ravina find the swords they carry on their person changed. They're not the full red swords, but the metal of the sword blades has turned red, and each of them now bears different unique enchantments.
Is Gabaryanga with us instead of in front of the stone face?
Yes. No. You all reappear exactly where you were when the mists enfolded you at the start. Gabaryanga is still sitting, playing his kora, as he was in the ceremonial ending of the myth.
Oh.
Uh, and Afidasa, you didn't really try to take anything in the god time, did you?
No, I was helping the people. I was
Yeah, your
participating
actions were
in their
mostly
lives.
supportive. But you did invoke Alishmara and Faranar, the wife and mother-in-law of Pomalt, there at the end.
Yep.
And the parrot was right there.
I love that parrot.
And you effectively, successfully protected a part of Pomalt's realm from these invaders.
Yeah.
And so you leave the quest with a gift from Pomalt's household. What kind of thing do you think Pomalt's wife Faranar, who mostly treats you politely but is always sort of wary of you? She takes convincing to help you, but when she is convinced, as she was, she is very powerful and very generous.
That sounds great.
What kind of thing would you get from her? She would give you maybe jewelry made of beads, or maybe a strange pet.
The parrot.
Okay.
If you offer me a parrot, I want a parrot.
The parrot the same size as
Alright.
you.
All right. What
Look.
are your items that hold POW?
I have that gift I got from. I'm so bad with the names, but from our blue elephant friend, the tusk.
Yes, you have a piece of his tusk. I believe it holds 6 POW, doesn't it?
Yeah.
6 MP.
Yeah.
All right.
And I had a second thing that I forgot the name of, because I'm terrible with names.
A storage crystal, maybe from a gaff.
Right, it was the crystal.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that in your inventory somewhere?
Yes.
How much POW does it contain?
8, if I wrote that right correctly.
All right. It would be the tusk that has a stronger resonance to all this, him being a moon being. All right. I'm looking at animal spirits in the bestiary. If it is, all right.
Would this be like a spirit pet or something?
It's not a fetch. It's a bound spirit. You'll get it as a result of the myth without having to spend POW, which is how you would usually put a spirit into.
Isn't that how Potov got his spirit? But
yes,
he had to spend the thing?
Yes, controlling bound spirits requires the command spirit spell if you let them out. If they remain inside a thing, you have access to their MP and can cast any spells they know. So what effectively happens is your tusk from the Blue Elephant, Anastasios,
yes,
it is emptied of your MP. It can still store 6, but it is temporarily set to storing 0, so that it can be filled with the essence of a POW 6 parrot spirit.
Yes.
So it still provides you POW, so you can still draw on those 6 points. However, if you ever draw the final point of POW from this spirit, it will go back into the other world and it won't be bound in the tusk anymore.
Okay, so I should not do that.
Only found 5. However, it is a herbivorous bird. It has a charisma of roll 2d6.
Hopefully this goes well. Otherwise I'm going to have a very uncharming parrot. Could have been worse, I guess.
Reasonable.
Yeah. If you rolled really badly, I was going to joke that the parrot is voiced by Gilbert Gottfried.
It has higher charisma than Cacti, so...
And roll 3d6 for its int.
Okay, let's see if it's a really dumb parrot. Hopefully not. Oh.
15, pretty smart.
Smart parrot.
Very smart bird.
Very good. Very good. I like this parrot.
Ever, Polly.
Right. So those are its three stats: POW 6, Charisma 9, Int 15. It lives in uh,
The
the
tusk?
Silver Tusk of Anastasios,
Rad.
and it is a parrot, so it is a herbivorous bird.
What does that word
So
mean?
Herbivorous, it means it eats
eats
plants.
plants, yes.
Ah.
And
An
those
herbivore.
yes, an herbivore, exactly. And it knows the glamour spirit spell.
Does it mean it can only glamour itself or also others?
You know any spells a bound spirit in one of your magical objects knows, so now effectively you know glamour without it counting against your charisma total.
Nice.
That's one of the benefits of all this.
So I can make myself as charming as Potov now?
Yes, those are the stats of your parrot spirit from Alishmara. Make sure you note that you have that. There is a section at the bottom of the character sheet for allied spirits, that sort of thing. But it's a pretty simple entity. Just make sure you have a saved copy of those stats. I'll
Can you
pin
write
them.
me down the name so I can actually spell it correctly also? I wrote everything else down already.
You're gonna have to name the parrot yourself.
Yeah, it is an Alishmara parrot spirit. I'll edit this so it has an @ to you, and I'll pin it in the thread.
Thank you. 30 base spirit combat. Okay. I'll write that down also. The only problem is at the bottom, you said we have a segment there for like allied spirits. The problem is that's already being taken up by my mount.
Oh, yes. That's so just make sure you save this somewhere.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
saved
writing
in the
it down.
thread regardless.
Yeah.
Make sure you have a reference that you have this bound spirit somewhere in your magic notes. Wherever you've written down Anastasia's tusks.
Yep, that's
Probably.
my magic notes.
Yep. So now, and it's up to you what the name of the Alashmara parrot spirit is. It's pretty bright, though.
Can I decide that next time? I'm really bad with names.
Of course. Yeah, and we're getting towards the end anyway.
Yeah,
Just note that you have it.
I did.
And Potov,
Yes, I have a spirit.
roll a d3.
Uno.
Your as was determined earlier in the quest, your Celine is permanently blue now. Well, or rather, it's more purplish now when it's made visible, or you have the senses to perceive it. And that one was the number of points of blade sharp it learned from carrying the red sword. So, in addition to storing, I think, Dark Wall, thanks to the blessing of the
Yep, it has
Troll
Dark Wall.
Mothers, it now also stores 1 point of blade sharp in its int.
All right. Noted.
Yeah, Tarabri may have a sort of slightly reddish sheen now. We'll have to see about that.
We'll check back in with her later.
Yeah, this was a timeless instance for her as well. Telak, you did some pillaging in the manses of the Videli. Is there anything you tried to bring back?
Well, I mean, the most relevant thing that I found was the ancient knowledge that taught me the new rune spell. But I can imagine if there was other cool shit, Talat might have taken some of that.
Well, I mean, you and your Mostali helped break stuff. Maybe you took a piece of iron or a piece of the mosaic that the spirits were trapped in the blue mansion?
They were made of perfectly good magical metal.
Yeah, probably took the
Iron or gold?
Probably iron.
All right. Yes. You exit the God time with roll d3. 3 encumbrance worth of iron. No water spirit bound in it. The spirit is free and back in the god time. But you have the stone warding gargoyle, which looks like a leering, scaly merfolk that would be creeping over a lintel stone if it were still in its original place. But it's a nice big hunk of iron that could be worked into something else. Just keep it away from cacti. It's quite poisonous to her.
And just for context, how much is 3 encumbrance?
I'll need to look into the GM reference book, but let's compare it to the encumbrance of some weapons and armor.
My elf bow is 2 encumbrance.
And say a heavy scale sleeves are 3 encumbrance. A heavy scale cuirass is 3 encumbrance.
So it's heavy, but not impossibly heavy.
Yeah, it could be used. It is an amount of iron that, if it were shaped, could be used to create any number of steel or iron items, adding up to max encumbrance 3. Refer to the equipment section in the book. But
So encumbrance is essentially a measurement of weight.
yeah, weight and just sort of unwieldiness to carry around.
Yeah.
So weight and volume, basically. Yeah. And if you get that back to Dwarf Hill, it's god time iron. It's literally just surplus iron that they don't have to do any alchemy to create. And so they'll be happy to turn that into something and give you at least 2 encumbrance worth of whatever's made from it, maybe all 3. But note that you have 3 ink worth of iron in the form of a lintel gargoyle in your inventory.
Do we all get any reputation amongst the Sable people for being
You
magically
absolutely
powerful?
Each of you gains +1 charisma, which I believe puts Philomena at her racial maximum of 21.
Ooh, there's a maximum?
Yeah, your maximum is the maximum you can possibly roll plus the minimum you could possibly roll, which is 18 and 3 respectively.
So you tell me 21 is the maximum? I can't be any more charming?
Yes, you are as human. It's as charming as you can be without magical assistance. There's plenty of ways to get more magic, but like the glamour spell you have, which will buff your charisma directly. And
but I think isn't the one charisma that you have actually from your dress? So your base
that
charisma
counts
is...
against the max.
I don't think it does.
Oh, well, if not, then make note that it's not. Well, make note what is your natural charisma and what you're getting from your dress.
Because
you can only get a max of +1 from whatever you're wearing.
Yeah, I think you were at 20 +1, so this would put you at 21 +1.
Yeah,
I think.
Which would let you have an effective 22 charisma.
Good.
Hooray!
But yeah, you can't raise your charisma any further naturally. At 21, you're maxed out charisma-wise.
Yeah.
I have 7 charisma now.
You can learn another point of spirit magic.
Cool.
You really need to work on that, probably. But there's plenty of opportunities too. And yes, let's look at the...
I would like more spirit magic, yeah.
I'd say, so as you come out of it, it's revealed that all of the sable riders in the valley were swept up into the myth as Zara Nastangi. And so they all experienced their own parallel adventure in the hero quest that intersected with yours at stage 5, in which they learned many valuable blue moon insights. And they immediately break into rapturous festivity. This is a great religious awakening moment, and you are all welcome to join. Each of you roll d6 and add that to your reputation.
Does anything change for Kakti since Sigala and herself had a brief recognition moment?
If you choose, you can take a friendly passion towards Agala, like loyalty, and she will reciprocate. You have a lifelong connection to Igala if you choose to make one now.
Well, sure. Why not? Let's see. Loyalty, Gala? No. What would be good here? What was the Sable Rider tribe that they are a member of?
Black
at the moment?
Crescent.
Would Loyalty, Black Crescent, Sable Rider tribe
Yes,
make
the
sense?
tribe as a whole would also be a fine option for a new passion. It would start at 60.
Let's see. What did I write? Black.
Because you took the passion, Cacti, and because you are the first Aldriami, well, one thing happens before. One thing happens that is sort of sideways connected as part of you accepting that passion. Your connection to the Black Crescent, and by extension their holy place, triggers a change in the moonflower you're carrying. You sense it. Its moon and fertility runes are activated. The plant cries out to you through your elf sense for you to plant it in the soil before the face in the rock.
Oh, who am I to deny the plant? Let's see.
And because of your mutual connection with Igala, she is aware of the sudden change in the moonflower as well. And because of your mutual connection, she is eager to see this done as well.
Okay. Would I have to roll for the plantation, or
if you want to bet against your skill with whatever you try to roll, yes, go ahead.
what do you mean to bet against?
Well, you know, you're rolling something, so there could be a fumble here that kills the plant or creates something terrible. But rolling would allow you to exert influence over what happens.
Okay. Well, I don't remember what I've rolled for my Earth Augment anymore.
It was a normal.
It was
it's
a
still in
normal?
effect.
Okay. Would you say plant lore would be applicable here again, or?
Yes.
Okay. So I would like to try to plant this flower as best as possible, since I assume that the box canyon for the face is not normal ideal planting conditions. It's not soft
It is
soil.
not, no.
Yeah. But it is where it wants to be planted, and I would like to help it as best as possible.
And you
So
do.
that's my plant lore with the 8+.
You are able to find a place where the water that naturally flows into and drains through the box canyon has eroded the sandstone and brought in just enough dust and grit from the plains above to make it unpromising, but at least potentially useful planting site, just before the Great Face.
Okay. So I
And
take it out of its spot, plant it as best as I can, and use some of the Solafel holy water that I've been carrying around to help feed a little bit of the soil, moisten a little bit of it.
Gabaryanga sits down beside the plant and begins to play. Does anyone join in his performance?
Yes,
This
yes.
is the last thing of the session.
Yes, I want to perform.
All right. Any of you who sang in the finale of the quest, it's still, you're back in the middle world, but the edges of the quest are still sort of present. You can still kind of see the blue and red mists at the edge of your perception. Anyone who sang at the finale of the myth can add what is happening now to the tail end of the song. Who commits to that?
Sure, why not? I'm in
Yes,
the middle of
yes.
planting it.
I'm gonna
Can I just
sing.
dance? There's a festival going on.
I'm gonna sing my heart out.
So that's Potov. That was a positive, an affirmative.
Yeah.
All right. So that's 6 successes total to sing, to perform around the planting of the moonflower.
Do I need to roll something again too?
No. Well, you can roll to participate in the festival going on, but your
Yeah.
success from the hero quest applies to the song.
Good, but can I roll singing again anyway?
Sure.
Good, let's do it. Is it still augmented?
Yeah, your harmony augment would apply.
Okay. There you go.
All right. As you plant the moonflower and perform around it, the blue moon is briefly visible in the sky, and a shaft of light descends on it from it, as you've seen several times at this stage. The shaft of light illuminates the players and the tree and the face. And as you perform, the flower, well, I'm giving the game away. The flower rapidly grows, expanding beyond the pot. Its roots growing over the pot and into the soil and into the stony earth beneath the place where the rock speaks. The flower rises into a great tree with silver bark and blue leaves and glowing iridescent blue moonflowers. In fact, a moonflower blossoms from the mid-trunk of the tree just before cacti and calls out through elf sense to be transplanted into a new pot. I won't make you roll from that, and the Sable Riders will provide a clay pot from their stores. So you don't lose the moonflower, but your original one is now a moon tree here in the place where the rock speaks.
Talak didn't join the festivities because that amount of growing would have been
Yes, this is very
quite.
fertility and plant oriented,
Yeah,
along with moon, and
it's
it's just not Telak. But you do have a
yeah.
bunch of stuff from the god time, including a lump of iron.
Yeah.
And so each of those of you who did participate in the outbreak of ecstatic festivities around the holy vision and experience the you and the Sable Riders have just been through. And each of you add to your list of lores cult lore Blue Moon 15. Each of you has now gained a solid basis in Blue Moon lore that you can use in a later date.
What exactly are we writing down?
You gain a rating of 15 in cult lore Blue Moon.
Okay, cold war. I didn't quite hear that part.
I still get my knowledge bonus on top of that, so it's actually a 35, or
Yes, your modifier would apply whenever you use it.
Have a knowledge
That's-
modifier of plus 20?
Shakti
yeah,
has an enormous elf brain.
26
Ginormous
intelligence.
brains.
It's a problem.
Speaking of modifiers, does Charisma 16 happen to cross the threshold to...
No, you have the
Choose any
same
mod-
threshold as humans, 21.
No, I mean, for modifiers, does Charisma 16...
I'm not sure off the top of my head. That's in the Adventures chapter.
Okay, I'll...
Everyone who's your charisma all rose, so everybody should check the Adventures chapter to see if your modifiers have changed. I'm looking up that characteristic right now.
It's
Since I'm
the
using
Adventurers chapter.
Since I'm
Yeah.
using the Google Sheet, I know that mine didn't change.
Adventures, step 4, characteristics.
Plus 1 charisma.
The list of things that are affected by different stats, attributes, starts on page 54. Check things like your communication modifier, magic modifier, anything that charisma gets factored into, including spirit combat damage. That may have ticked up when your charisma rose. Or it may not. It's usually a 4-point threshold. 16 is not a break point. 17 usually is.
My spirit combat did not rise, but it's getting close to increasing.
Yeah, 1 point of charisma was not enough.
So, everybody... Yeah, I think that's a full session. That's it for this weekend. Next time we play and Jenner is here, we will briefly go back into the God Time and see how Yelmalio participated in different events. The last thing I want to ask from everybody today, in addition to rolling your XP checks, is that in chat you post briefly how you contributed to the hero quest. I'll collate what each of you contributed to write up stage 5 of the quest for future reference.
Okay.
In the game thread, correct? Or
Yes, in the
story
game
note?
thread, please.
Okay.
And yes, that is the Invasion of Dessero's Horde hero quest. You can go back into the God Time at future dates to explore parts of it or rerun the whole thing, all 5 stages. You can explore different areas of the quest in order to bring different kinds of magic back to the middle world. Now that you know the lay of the land in the quest, you can sort of plan your expeditions into it to try to get specific bonuses from interacting with it. And this goes for every hero quest. This goes for quests that potentially intersect with the Dessero's Horde myth. And each time you go back into the quest, things may be slightly different. New events may happen. New characters may appear. Astamanics probably won't appear in the guise of the Yellow King, though the Yellow King may be present in future expeditions into the myth. All right.
I forgot how to spell Jarka.
Hope everybody had a good time, and
It was
next
great.
session we'll resume with the journey to the Blue Sable altar to perform the divinations you actually set out to perform on this.
Right, there
adventure.
was something.
All of you having undergone this adventure and having subtly changed. You have the rest of, or most of the rest of storm season to plan your magical activities at the Blue Sable altar. Uh, so look for confluences in the calendar for any sorts of worships you'll need to perform to power up for it, or days with connotations that seem particularly useful for what you want to try to do. Gabel will be trying to determine the current location of the sword that Ganalada received in the myth, the red sword of the Zaranastangi. He will be performing a big divination to find out where the Second Age hero Avalor went when he passed through this area at the end of the Second Age. And we have now played through the most complete version of the Desceros Horde quest that I or anyone on the Chaosium boards have ever heard of. We're charting new paths in Glorantha. Congratulations, everyone.